今天是我公司破产的第4天了。今天来公司收拾一下东西，这个是原本是坐满了的。
如果能拍纪录片，你可以去拍到很多中年人都是在家里，白天基本上都在睡觉。
你们还口口声声说恢复经济，恢复经济，现在是连工作都找不到，上哪里去赚钱？
After the National Day holiday, many people were preparing to return to their companies, ready to dive back into work. However, this woman found the company's doors tightly shut, the lights turned off, and a profound silence enveloping the premises. This sudden turn of events left her astonished, finding it almost unbelievable. She decided to try entering the password to open the door, but at the critical moment when verification was hoped for, the password turned out to be incorrect.
朋友们，我被紧急辞退了。就在刚刚我们结束工作回到酒店，然后我们领导跟我们说有重要的事情通知我们被辞退了，特别突然，毫无征兆。准确来说，是我们杭州这边的分公司不做了，换句话说就是倒闭了。其实这个结果上个月的时候就预想到了，这2天我们还被领导派来江苏这边出差，然后出着就被公司通知你被解雇了。其实听到这个消息的时候，我心里是有一点想哭，很难受。要和我共事了这么久的小伙伴说再见，要离开了我奋斗了很久的公司，我心里就觉得特别的唏嘘，还有就是有一点点愧疚吧，觉得自己在这个岗位上面没有发挥更多的价值。不过在我们公司，我还是学到了很多技能的。最后就祝和我共事过的小伙伴们，大家前途似海，来日方长吧。
今天是我公司破产的第4天了。今天来公司收拾一下东西，这个是原本是坐满了的，现在全办公了。电脑，那这个是你也知道，没啥用了。那你们看看我的办公室啊，上面这幅字啊，这是真迹。这有个沙发，可能有点凄凉，该搬的都搬走了。这个是会议室啊，我这个场这些电脑、桌椅、板凳，这个办。
During the day, you'll find that many middle-aged people tend to stay at home sleeping during the daytime. They avoid going out because they don't want to be seen idle or jobless, without income or purpose. A middle-aged person at home with no job typically relies on the elderly parent's pension for financial support. The stress of being unemployed in an economy with very few job opportunities takes a toll on their mental and emotional well-being. As for the reality of the current situation, many people, even those with resources, engage in online activities late into the night, such as live streaming, gaming, or watching videos. They sleep during the day, which is common in this era. If you could make a documentary about this, you'd see that a significant portion of middle-aged people indeed spend their days sleeping and nights on screens. These middle-aged individuals often don't have savings. They live paycheck to paycheck or rely on loans. They struggle to balance various expenses and are forced to make tough choices about which bills to pay and which to delay. This precarious financial situation affects their entire lives, from food to utilities. For instance, many households decide not to pay for gas to cook, relying on electric appliances or simple meals like instant noodles and steamed buns. In the current environment, the most significant concern for middle-aged people is whether they will have a future. Savings are scarce, and most families don't have any savings at all. People carry around minimal cash, primarily for daily expenses like groceries and utility bills, and constantly shuffle between different expenditures. This situation, in which people struggle to prioritize their financial obligations, is common in many lower-income households. A large number of individuals who used to do business with confidence are now struggling to make ends meet. With a severe lack of job opportunities, business owners who previously employed many workers have also been affected. They can't find enough work for their employees, which results in job cuts and wage reductions. Right now, out of my 10 brothers, 8 of them are at home, spending their time fishing. Don't ask me why they're fishing at home, because they can't find jobs. In the past, when they used to work at a company, now even the manual labor positions have become scarce. Business owners can't find jobs and have to engage in business development themselves. In the past, a company required people to make calls, handle sales, manage business, and staff the front desk. Now, none of those roles are needed. They spend their days at home with a smartphone and computer, focusing on live streaming. Some of these individuals are worth millions, even billions, and yet they spend their time on platforms like TikTok and various online channels, selling products for as little as 9.9 yuan. They've cornered the market, even selling food products. You may talk about reviving the economy, but the truth is, people can't find work. They don't have the means to earn money or the motivation to spend it. The job market is virtually non-existent, and opportunities for earning income are limited. This is the current economic reality.
凌晨3点的北京站，白天人来人往的站前广场，此刻躺满了人。一张席子就是一张床，涂成行李就能入睡。有人靠在墙根，有人直接躺在广场中央。2个老人靠着墙进入了梦乡，老婆孩子已经睡着，男人守在边上。经过白天40度高温的炙烤，凌晨的广场地面依旧暖如火炕。有人热得顾不上体面，直接脱光了上身。如果说医院里看到的是生死，那么这里看到的就是生活。长夜漫漫，有人坐着聊天，有人独自抽烟，有人干熬着等天亮。黎明总会来，但黎明前也是最黑暗的。幸运的人可以抢到取款机旁的一块空地，有人去小饭馆里要上一碗面，借机在桌子上趴一会儿。
Mayotai is no longer consumed. High-end clubs are not being frequented. Do you know? Even the business owners in the coastal regions are tightening their belts as making money has become challenging, and they can't even find reasons to smile anymore. If business owners are having a tough time, can you imagine the plight of their employees? So, I'm taking a risk by saying this, but I want to emphasize that the world's largest consumer market is still in Europe and America, not Southeast Asia, let alone Russia. Let's look at some data for July. China's exports amounted to 281.7 billion USD, marking a significant year-on-year drop of 14.5%. This is the second consecutive month of double-digit negative growth, which is extremely rare historically. I think the drop in exports to the United States was even more substantial, plummeting by a full 23 percentage points. Mexico has now taken the position of the United States' top trading partner. If orders are not coming in and salaries are not being paid, can business owners be happy? This year's situation is particularly unfriendly for Asia's export-driven economies, including China, South Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. There's a collective outcry in these export economies. However, please note that there's a glimmer of hope for July. For instance, Vietnam experienced a 10-point decrease in the rate of decline from June to July. They are emerging from the dark tunnel and seeing the first rays of light. In contrast, our export enterprises are still heading downhill. The export situation is becoming increasingly dire. China must remain vigilant, as foreign trade has created 180 million jobs, serving as one of the three main drivers of economic growth. If foreign trade continues to falter, it will inevitably trigger a chain reaction. Many factories will have to rely on orders to sustain their operations. When orders are scarce, businesses will need to cut wages and lay off employees. As a result, both business owners and employees will see a decrease in their income. Without the means to purchase goods, consumption won't pick up. Reduced local fiscal revenue will impact infrastructure development, road construction, subsidies for childbirth, and other government programs that require substantial funding. China's economic miracle over the past 40 years has been largely driven by foreign trade. If this economic engine falters, it will have a cascading effect on investment and consumption. The national economy will undoubtedly suffer a significant blow. So, during these times, we should consider those who engage in business as our friends, not adversaries. Economic matters are separate from political issues. Regardless of the circumstances, we should continue to conduct business. As they say, goodwill and harmony are the keys to prosperity. We should refrain from being obstinate, stop unnecessary turmoil, and not scare away our most important trading partners. In the end, it's us who would bear the brunt of significant losses. Don't you agree? Even PhDs from the Chinese Academy of Sciences feel helpless when their family members fall ill. These are the places where the Asian Games Light Show cannot reach and the areas that self-media promoting China's strength dare not confront. The electronic fireworks that lit up during the Asian Games, like the volunteers in the background of this video, appear overly fake. Does forcing a smile with a wide-open mouth equate to happiness? Is building an impressive project a sign of strength? Everyone knows it's all a facade. It's self-deception. I think this country has trained people to become less than human. Almost everyone exhibits some degree of abnormality. Let's look at how the common people in the lower strata have become morally compromised. Nowadays, the pressure in society doesn't just suffocate adults. Many children can't endure it either. Bring children to the elderly. At what age can one lead an easy life in China? Because in the first half of this year, Dongguan's economy experienced a significant decline. Its GDP growth rate was only 1.5%. To put this into perspective, it's the lowest among the 21 cities in Guangdong and among the 24 trillion yuan club cities in China. So, what's happening in Dongguan? I'd like to compare and discuss three major factors. First, Dongguan has continued the pattern it has followed for over 40 years, which is a heavy reliance on foreign trade exports as its primary industry, reliance on a single-channel industry, especially in the context of the decline in foreign trade orders, particularly from Europe and the United States, has resulted in an increasing number of orders drying up. This is the first issue. Secondly, there's a significant phenomenon this year that began last year, which is the external relocation of businesses. It's not just limited to Dongguan. It's happening across the nation, but more so in the Pearl River Delta region. Where are they relocating to? Countries like Vietnam, Southeast Asia, and India, right? When we look at these relocated businesses, many of them originated from Dongguan. So, Dongguan is facing considerable pressure. If you don't receive orders, businesses move elsewhere. It's hard for the manufacturing industry to endure such circumstances.
本来闲着，办完照上来还有3个月，多加点班，多混点加班费，然后做到过年，是吧？回家还能过个好年。哎，谁知道班都没有，每天8个钟，想混点加班费都混不了。现在真的只能是每天都是混着。
If we look at the internal structure of the manufacturing industry, sectors like computer, communication, and electronic equipment manufacturing have experienced a 4.9% decline. In the case of electrical machinery and equipment manufacturing, the decline is even steeper at 7.4%. These industries are primarily oriented towards exports, especially to Europe and the United States. When there are no orders, you're left with nothing. Therefore, the manufacturing industry in this scenario lacks independent intellectual property rights and solely relies on foreign trade exports, making it susceptible to significant challenges. Thirdly, a genuinely developed modern manufacturing industry must be accompanied by a strong service industry. However, over the years, Dongguan has excelled in manufacturing but struggled to develop its service industry. The result is that Dongguan doesn't even qualify as a city. It's just production without the city aspect. When you look at it, there are no towns or districts. The county areas have towns, but the overall development is lacking. This indicates a relative weakness. Additionally, in recent years, Dongguan has had the Golden Triangle, which includes Songshan Lake's technology sector, and the Binhai New area as a new window for opening up to the outside world. If these areas develop properly, they could serve as a robust foundation for Dongguan's future service industry. However, the development in these areas hasn't been satisfactory. All these issues combined have led to Dongguan's economic structure and industry not undergoing the necessary adjustments, and it's still on the path of adjustment. This has resulted in the substantial decline from last year to this year. Facing both domestic and international economic challenges, it's hard for Dongguan to maintain its pattern of rallying in the second half of the year, a pattern that persisted for 11 years. So, whether it can recover in the latter half of this year is uncertain. We can only wish Dongguan well and hope that it undergoes further structural adjustments, creating a better foundation for future development and enhancement. In 2023, Dongguan witnessed the closure of approximately 3,500 companies. Among these closures, the manufacturing sector was the hardest hit, with about 2,050 manufacturing businesses shutting down. Contract manufacturing companies accounted for approximately 1,000 closures, while around 500 small private enterprises also closed their doors.
今天统一回复一下所有的老铁和粉丝，大家都在问，你这么大的工厂，你的钱去哪里了？怎么导致今天的结果？你们都不是一直运营很好吗？好，就针对这个问题，我统一回复。大家应该看得到目前的我状况，然后现在就像这样的拉法，2天2晚，而且现在是北京时间1点多，我们还在进行。大家再看看，我们钱到底去哪里了？我们的钱到底去哪里了？所以在这里我慎重的忠告，我们所有像我这样的企业，我们接下来应该怎么做？这应该是给我们像我这样的中小企业、千万级的企业，你不算大，不要装逼。看看我今天的下场，不要玩情怀，不要玩所谓的大客户，不管相信谁，你相信这个，有这个就是王道。今天我做的叫对我破产无所谓，但是我尽量要做到我们的供应商我们的供应商，我们的情怀供应商，让他们尽量减少损失。我目前就是我可以什么都没有，但是我不想害了一大批的供应商，所以我选择我趴下，让我去整理调整自己，然后看我最后怎么做，我应该怎么走。谢谢关注，持续关注，感谢感恩，我在这里只能感恩。谢谢大家。这几天确实我说话太多，讲的太多， 你们留的言我所有都看过，但是我没办法一个一个的回复，所以现在各到大家的问题，深思、三思、再三思，给我的人生上了一堂很大的课。同时，我也警示我们所有的中小型企业，一定要稳住，加油！2022，感谢。
These factories that have closed have contributed significantly to Dongguan's prosperity, helping it establish itself as one of the country's leading cities in terms of industrial production. It was hoped that after weathering the pandemic, the economy would make a full recovery. However, the reality is that post-pandemic business operations have become increasingly challenging. For the current economic downturn, the situation is severe, reminiscent of the 2008 financial crisis. After 27 years of operation, one of Dongguan's well-established Hong Kong-funded printing and dyeing factories announced its closure this year. Additionally, one of Shenzhen's largest and most well-known lingerie manufacturers, employing over 5,000 workers, also closed down, leaving numerous employees facing unemployment. Several electronic manufacturing giants have followed. Reasons behind these factory closures are varied. The global economy has entered a relatively weary state, with many factories accepting unprofitable or loss-making orders simply to sustain the cost of their workforce. Some have moved their orders to Southeast Asian countries with lower labor costs, exacerbating the declining order numbers. The rising cost of labor and the need for substantial Social Security contributions have further increased the labor costs. Moreover, China's stringent environmental protection regulations have required aging factories to invest more substantial funds to address environmental compliance issues. These are discussions and opinions from different netizens in response to the phenomenon of numerous shop closures. With many businesses shutting down, the streets are now filled with pharmacies, real estate agencies, and dining establishments. Is this a sign of the gradual decline of the real economy? Now, storefronts on both sides of the streets are closing one after another, and small and medium-sized businesses, as well as specialty stores, can't withstand the onslaught. The continuous closures can be observed when we go shopping, where we frequently see certain shops with their doors closed, indicating for transfer or for rent. People often hear others talking about how it's tough to do business nowadays. With many reports of closures, many storefronts have already been left vacant, with rental signs posted on the doors, and some even remain unrented. This has caused significant losses for many investors. Several years ago, when storefronts were booming, many people chose to become their bosses and open their small shops. At that time, with the rapid development of the country, businesses were doing better, and storefronts were in high demand, leading to increased profits for investors. However, as the national economy continued to develop, life became more convenient and urban living changed. Now, the streets on both sides, especially around residential areas, are filled with pharmacies, real estate agencies, and dining establishments. You can find several real estate agencies on one street, but many other types of shops, such as clothing stores, are relatively rare, and many of them are closed or up for transfer. Why are so many shops unable to survive? Why can't these shops be rented? Why are there more pharmacies, real estate agencies, and dining establishments? Based on different situations, here are 3 reasons. The rise of the e-commerce industry in recent years, impacting physical stores. In the past, online shopping wasn't prevalent, and many people liked to shop in physical stores. The streets were bustling with people coming and going continuously. However, in today's context, with the development of the internet, online shopping has quietly integrated into our lives. The speed of logistics is increasing, and online shopping is becoming more convenient. People can now compare prices easily online and buy things cheaper. The way people live is slowly changing. Uncertain work hours, working late, and a lack of time for unnecessary social interactions are making people reluctant to go out, accelerating the rise of the e-commerce industry. However, buying a house, seeking medical treatment, and dining out are essential activities that require going out. Who would buy a house directly online or place an order online? Buying a house is a significant life event, and people will conduct on-site inspections before making a decision. As for pharmacies, when people get sick, they won't think about purchasing medicines online. The same goes for dining out. In today's fast-paced society, people have less time to cook at home. Grabbing a quick, ready-made meal has become the default way of life. The presence of comprehensive business districts leads to a loss of popularity for street shops. In the past, shops often had a one-shop-is-hard-to-find phenomenon, and with the continuous development of cities, there are more and more urban business districts. However, physical stores not only face the impact of online stores, but they also face increasing competition from one another. Today's urban business districts are essentially a combination of shopping, entertainment, and dining. There are so many commercial streets and shopping centers that when people have time off, they tend to go directly to these business districts for shopping and entertainment. This has led to shops on the streets becoming deserted, slowly getting eliminated, with hardly anyone visiting them, making business more and more difficult. Rising property prices and increasing operating costs. Perhaps the most significant cost for opening physical stores is rent. For physical stores, what ultimately brings them down isn't the lack of customers, but the continuously rising storefront rental prices. In recent years, rising property prices have led to a corresponding increase in the rental prices of storefronts. The operating costs of many individual store owners have become higher and higher. Issues with business in the off-season have become evident. Physical store owners often say with a wry smile, "After working so hard for a year, we're essentially earning money for the landlords." This is the fundamental reason for the large number of shop closures, and it's also why many people are no longer willing to operate physical stores. Furthermore, e-commerce significantly reduces the rental, tax, labor, and other cost expenditures for physical stores. It also avoids problems like stockpiling and inventory turnover. Despite the ruthless blow dealt by e-commerce, some physical industries will continue to exist and their transformation will be necessary. In the era of mass consumption, the development of online commerce is still heavily reliant on physical stores. For healthcare, dining, and the real estate industry, these cannot be resolved online. Some things are not convenient to buy online, making physical stores more suitable. Small convenience stores near residential areas are a priority for household emergencies and will continue to exist. In conclusion, what we reveal today is a harsh truth about the economic challenges faced not only by Dongguan, but by numerous industrial cities in the ever-evolving global landscape. It's a tale of reliance on a single-channel industry, the abrupt relocation of businesses, and the lack of a robust service sector. Dongguan's economic structure, developed over decades, is facing a reckoning. The pain of leaving behind colleagues, memories, and years of dedication to a company is palpable. It's a sentiment shared by many who find themselves in a similar situation. Unemployment, especially among middle-aged workers, carries with it not just financial stress, but also emotional burdens that weigh heavily on individuals and their families. Clearly, inside the closed factories and abandoned office spaces paints a stark picture of the impact of the economic downturn. What once thrived with activity and productivity now stands silent and empty. The calligraphy on the wall and the abandoned office furniture serve as silent witnesses to the aspirations and hard work that once filled these spaces. There are too many video clips that further emphasize the struggles faced by small and medium-sized businesses, highlighting the difficulties they encounter in an increasingly competitive environment. The closure of businesses in various sectors sends ripples through the local economy, affecting not only business owners, but also their employees, who find themselves without a source of income. The ripple effect extends to the street, where shops are shuttered and rental signs become commonplace. The rise of e-commerce, the emergence of comprehensive business districts, and escalating operating costs force businesses to adapt or perish. The real estate and dining industries, along with healthcare services, remain relevant in the physical